The desert wind whispers across broken statues, their features worn smooth by centuries of sand and time. Once, these faces shone with gold, painted in vibrant ochres and lapis lazuli. Now, they are just shadows. Yet, among these forgotten fragments stands one of history's most iconic faces, a queen whose legendary beauty became eternal, even as her story was deliberately erased from history. Her name was Nefertiti, Nefertiti. The name itself means the beautiful one has come. She lived more than 3,000 years ago during the 18th dynasty, a time when the Egyptian Empire was at the absolute peak of its power and influence. She was the great royal wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten, but her role extended far beyond that of a royal consort. Nefertiti was a partner in a radical revolution, a queen who wielded such immense power and prominence that her image continues to captivate the world to this very day. Her story is one of unwavering devotion, incredible ambition, and a complete transformation of a kingdom. Alongside her husband, Akhenaten, she undertook one of the most audacious acts in ancient history. She reshaped Egypt as an entire religious landscape. In an era defined by a complex pantheon of gods and goddesses, they declared there was only one true deity, the sun disk itself, the Aten. This was a revolutionary shift, an early and daring experiment in monotheism, centuries before it would take root elsewhere in the world. Imagine the shockwaves this sent through society. The grand temples dedicated to gods like Amun-Ra were shut down. The old gods were silenced, their priesthoods stripped of their immense wealth and power. And at the very heart of this seismic upheaval stood Nefertiti. Her image was carved right alongside her husband's on temple walls and public monuments, with the rays of the sun, God Aten, shining down, touching her face, blessing her as if she too were divine. She wasn't just a queen, she was a high priestess, a living connection to their new god. For a time, this was a true golden age. The royal couple abandoned the traditional capital of Thebes and built a brand new city from scratch in the desert, a place they called Akhenaten, meaning horizon of the Aten. Today, we know it as Amarna. In this new capital, Nefertiti was not hidden away in the palace shadows. She was at the forefront of public life, a visible and powerful co-ruler. We see incredible reliefs of her driving her own chariot, leading religious ceremonies, and even, in a stunning break with tradition, smiting Egypt's enemies, a powerful pose previously reserved only for male pharaohs. She wore the tall, flat-topped blue crown that became uniquely hers, a symbol of her regal authority. The evidence is undeniable. She was not just a queen, she was effectively a co-pharaoh. But the golden light of the Aten was not destined to last. The radical religious changes were deeply unpopular. The powerful priests of the old gods, particularly the cult of Amun-Ra, waited in the shadows, their influence quietly growing as discontent spread across the land. The empire began to fray. Famine struck the fertile lands along the Nile. Egypt's enemies began to press at its borders, and the state, consumed by its internal religious revolution, seemed unable to respond effectively. The dream of Akhenaten was turning into a nightmare. And then, in the midst of this turmoil, Nefertiti simply vanished from all historical records. In the 12th year of Akhenaten's reign, her name disappears. No more carvings, no more inscriptions. Just silence. The truth of her fate remains one of history's greatest and most tantalizing mysteries. What happened to this powerful queen? There are several compelling theories, each painting a different picture of her final years. Some Egyptologists believe she died suddenly, perhaps from a plague that swept through the royal city, and her body was hastily buried in a tomb that has since been lost to time. Others argue for a more dramatic possibility, that she didn't die at all, but instead ascended to even greater power. This theory suggests that she took on a new name, Nefertiti, and ruled as a full-fledged pharaoh after her husband's death acting as a regent or co-ruler for the young Tutankhamun. She would have been a shadow ruler, a female king whose legacy was later erased by pharaohs who wanted to return to the old ways and forget the entire Amarna period. A third possibility whispers that she simply fell from grace, cast aside by Akhenaten for a lesser wife, and lived out her days in quiet obscurity within the palace walls. We may never know for certain. What we do know is this. After her disappearance and the death of Akhenaten, the old order returned with a vengeance. The boy king, Tutankhamun, restored the old gods. The court abandoned the city of Akhetaten, leaving it to crumble back into the desert sands. And in a systematic effort to erase the heretic king and his queen, their names were chiseled out of monuments. Their statues were smashed. Their temples were torn down. For thousands of years it was as if Nefertiti had never existed. Her legacy was buried in silence, and yet her face survived. In 1912, a team of German archaeologists led by Ludwig Borchardt was excavating the ruins of a sculptor's workshop in Amarna. There, buried in the sand, they found it, a painted limestone bust of breathtaking beauty. The elegant, slender neck, the iconic, tall blue crown, the serene, symmetrical features, and a gaze that seems both profoundly human and undeniably divine. It was Nefertiti. The sculptor Thutmose had captured her likeness, and for some reason, this masterpiece was never delivered and remained hidden in his studio, surviving the destruction that followed. 3,000 years after she was meant to be forgotten, her beauty stunned the modern world. The forgotten queen became an instant global icon, her face gracing magazine covers and inspiring art and fashion. She became immortal once more. But we must remember that behind this incredible beauty lies incredible power. Nefertiti was no passive, beautiful consort. She was a revolutionary, a co-ruler who stood as an equal to her pharaoh. She dared to challenge thousands of years of tradition, to defy the gods themselves, and to wield power in a way few women in history ever have. She vanished into mystery, but rose again, resurrected in stone. Her story isn't just about what was lost to the sands of time, but about what endures against all odds. For even when powerful kings and vengeful priests tried to erase her memory, even when centuries of silence buried her name, Nefertiti returned. And perhaps that is her true, lasting power, not in the empire she ruled, but in her defiant refusal to be forgotten. The beauty of Nefertiti survived the ages, but the story of her power is still being rediscovered. If you want to uncover the stories of more lost queens and forgotten rulers, join us on this journey into history's hidden thrones. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an exploration into the past.